I wanted to talk to you all about essential workers and the reason why they should be recognized more often and held with a wage increase, which is desperately needed. My mother and my father were both essential workers in their time. My dad is a former Marine. He's inactive, but he was also a police officer and a magistrate for the Cherokee tribal court system. My mother works as a nurse up at Cherokee Indian Hospital and has been for probably 20, 25 years. In that time, they have had a lot of government assistance as far as protecting their jobs. And what we've seen recently is that those rights and those benefits are being stripped away. We look at what the current administration is doing right now, everything from dismantling the Department of Education, the Department of Labor, threatening to cut funding to the CDC, the VA, the FDA, pretty much any acronym, they are looking to cut funding and people, which Swain County here has a lot of essential workers who rely on those benefits and those programs. And it is scary to think about what would happen if a lot of our friends and family were suddenly out of a job. We've seen it up here at the National Park already. Normally we have about 2 or 3, up to 5 temporary workers that come in. And so far we've lost 3 regular rangers. And I have no idea where they moved off to, but they are currently gone. When we talk about essential workers, we're not also talking about our emergency workers, though we need to give props to them because they put their lives on the line for us. But we're also talking about the recovery workers who put forth the effort after cleaning up after Helene. We're talking about the truck drivers and the dock workers who stock our shelves, drive trucks across the nation to get us supplies that we so desperately need. We're talking about the laborers in the fields who are breaking their backs for minimum wage, less than minimum wage in some cases, hard hours in the sun. And we're talking about the sanitation and custodial workers who, during the height of COVID, put their health on the line to make sure that we were able to still live somewhat sane lives. And I think about some of our educators as well. They may not seem like essential workers, but they are, because without education, what are we as a country? I know that there's already been some talk about unions. There used to be tons of unions up and down the western North Carolina here to be able to take care of the workers. Over the past 40 to 50 years, conservative values and teachings of Ronald Reagan and other administrations have stripped those rights of those unions, and it puts a lot of our workers at risk. It's shameful to see people who say they value a certain class of worker and then turn around and strip rights away from them. Healthcare and benefits, compensation financially, it's abhorrent, it's absurd, and it's stupid. The government has a responsibility to care for its citizens. It has a duty to see the private entities do the same. In today's economic market, multi-billion-dollar organizations are passing out huge bonuses to CEOs and shareholders, while the average worker only gets higher prices and fewer benefits. The Trump and his billionaire cronies don't understand these Main Street issues, which Swain County is on the forefront. You know, it's abhorrent. It's shameful to see on a day-to-day basis what our families and what our friends and heck, even a stranger go through to make it day-to-day. The time has come for us regular Americans to call on a minimum wage increase. $15 is no longer enough. In today's economic market, that equates about to $32,000 after taxes. In some cases, depending on the region, the municipality workers, the elected officials, they're fine with seeing $725 all the way across the board. We need to call on these elected officials from both sides of the aisle. We need to get our Democratic representatives in shape, ready to fight for American rights and workers. $725, that's got to go. That's 2009. We're in the future now. This is shameful. I once held the moniker of housekeeper. I worked for the tribal government. I was told how and in what best ways to protect myself from communicable diseases, from sharks and other potentially hazardous materials. I got to see firsthand how a government, the tribal government, protected its citizens during COVID. Those people who went to work during those hours of need were greatly recognized by tribal officials, both with words, with actions, and with financial compensation, which is why we're here today on May Day. It was amazing to see people from all over the reservation come together. And during those times of the border lockdown, when no one could come in or out of the tribe, the messages that flowed on Facebook and other social media were a great necessity to our sanity. But now, 5 years after the COVID emergency, I go back to my earlier statements. Donald Trump and his MAGA cronies should not and will not be allowed to destroy, dismantle, and ruin our public institutions, which take care of our workers and our livelihoods. In the richest country in the history of the world, it is shameful to see some essential workers having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. We should not have to see our friends and family go through the process of having to figure out if they have money for groceries, money for rent, or money for medical needs. We should not have to fear another large mass panic as we did in COVID. We shouldn't have to sit by and see this felon of 6 bankruptcies tank our economy and threaten our workers. So, if you value essential workers, if you value American workers, if you value American businesses, your friends and family up and down Main Street here in Swain County, Jackson, Graham and Cherokee, Macon and Haywood, please be vocal, be active, get your friends and family to show up and show out, to show these million and billionaires that they don't control America. We, the people, control America. And we need to fight them to stop them from this happening. Thank you for your time. My name is Chris Reed. I'm going to turn it back over to Garrett Lagan.